Welcome back to the shop. I'm Jeff from Today's Craftsman. We're back after a couple-week hiatus. Had the holidays and everything going on. So last you joined us, we were building doors for this white oak project. And since John was here last, I added these grills, we're calling them. So these are 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick pieces of white oak. And these are actually half lapped. So I want to show you guys how we did that. Have it set up here in the dado. These are actually my test pieces when I set this jig up. So it's just a simple half lap. They fit together like that. You know, you can do this by putting these pieces in first and then actually cutting 3 pieces, but then it's like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seams across one piece that you have to make sure everything is nice and tight. So this is easier. It's actually easier to do a half lap in this situation. So you can see here on this door and all of the doors, we have little 2x2 squares in the corners. You know, the doors vary in size, but this 2x2 is consistent. So I built that into the jig. We have a stop here. So this is I guess I should say first, I have a 1/2 inch dado stack in the saw. And I have it set to half the thickness of this material because we're removing half from the piece that sits on top and half from the piece that sits on the bottom. So I have my stop here that's set at 2 inches from the stop to the blade. So that makes the first cut. And then flip that up, make your first cut, flip it up, and then that makes your second cut. This is a 1/2 inch. These are 1 inch wide. So it's a 1/8 inch by 1 inch half lap. So what I can do is maybe I'll do it on this side, and you can see how they fit together. Before we make the cut, let's talk a little bit about the jig. When you're working with white oak, something you need to be concerned with or conscious of is the fact that white oak is very prone to tear out. We're also going across the grain, which is way more likely to tear out than with the grain. So this jig here, rather than using like a miter gauge, we have full support. So this is all zero clearance. And the idea behind the zero clearance is there's nowhere for the grain to blow out. So this cut on the backside is fully supported here, and the face is fully supported on the bottom. You may have noticed this yellow mag switch here. This is actually a feather board, like a double-sided feather board, and it has some stops here. So this is a magnetic feather board, and it just, you can see it's not stuck right now, but if you turn the switch, it lowers the magnet down and it sticks. So the reason I have this here is we have a zero clearance. So if I bring this sled back too far in my cut, you could hear it hitting the blade. If this was just able to do that, I'm going to throw this sled back into myself because it's going to grab the sled and push it back. So I put this here so that I limit the travel of this sled, and I have little runners under here, like you would do for any little sled, and I have a stop right here built in because we never extended that miter slot. So it can't go any further there, and it can't come back any farther here. So it's a pretty simple setup. This is probably the most complicated part, is just this little flip stop that I made. You could use a spacer block, you could just put something there, butt your piece into it, and then take it away. But I knew that I was going to be doing this cut, whatever. There's 4 lap joints in each door, and there's 6 doors, so that's 48 cuts or something like that. So yeah, pretty simple jig, purpose built, and it's, we won't be mad to just get rid of it when we're done. So there's nothing left but to turn on the saw and show you how to make the cut, and we can see how it fits. You can see we made our 2 cuts. We have this little extra piece here because either this is slightly over an inch or this is slightly less than a half an inch. I can't remember what the case was in the setup, but this is cross grain white oak, and it literally just comes right off. So I was wondering what these were before because it's been a couple days since I cut these. These are all the little pieces that snapped off of all the cuts. So that's how I did them. I just broke them off. So these are the 2 that we just cut. You can see it's a nice fit. Not super tight where it's got to be pounded together. You know, once the glue gets in here, the wood's going to swell a little bit, and this is going to be a nice tight fit. So what I did with these is I actually glued them all together, and then I set them in the door and pin nailed them in. Here's another one of our doors. You can see that 2x2 little motif that we're going with. So hopefully it's something that you could integrate, you know, maybe into your work.
I'm laughing at that long pause.
Yeah, because I was trying to think what the hell I was going to say. You know, hopefully the jig inspires you to maybe make a purpose-built jig. You know, that's only good for one thing. It doesn't have to be something that you reuse all the time. It's just a couple scraps of MDF. It's got like 5 screws in it. You know, we're going to use it for this job, and we're going to take it apart, get rid of the parts that aren't usable, and keep the big piece of MDF probably. But if you want to tune in to the next video, we're going to get into, you know, the finishing and assembly of this project. So you'll be able to see it really from almost the start to the finish. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below, and we'll see you in the next one.